Dr. LuvBeatz, take one. I'm Ryan Christopher McCarthy, born on March 6th, 1988, in Greenville, South Carolina, raised in Malden. Dad was from up north, mom was from the country, and my mom's in theater. My dad is a football player, but he said he was never really that good of a football player, but that the coach said he had a lot of heart, and if he had, every man on the field had as much heart as him, they'd win every game. So I have a lot of heart, and I like to perform, and I think that comes out a lot in my drumming. Did the punk rock thing. That's how I learned how to hack on the drums. That was my first band. I met Daniel Wergo when I was 7 years old. In high school, I was a huge fan of Daniel and Wes's band. They would pack out the Coffee Underground. They're the reason they can't have real shows there anymore, because somebody lit something on fire and somebody was ripping the air ducts down. It was just punk rock, even though it was just a coffee shop and we were just kids. So that band I was a fan of that band. And then Last Action Heroes morphed into Transit Vista, and my band, Anything But Normal, ended up opening up for Transit Vista, and that was our last show. We didn't know it at the time, but that was our last show. So I always wanted to play with Daniel and Wes. So after high school, or after they graduated, I was still in school, and we needed a bass player for this experimental jam band called Light Broadcast, and Daniel was playing bass on that. We ended up winning the Battle of the Bands at high school, just playing improv, experimental weird music. But Daniel moved down to Charleston with Wes and the rest of the band to continue the band or whatever. So he moved down there. The drummer didn't move down there. He ended up going somewhere else. So they needed a drummer, and that was my opportunity. I was gonna move down to Charleston and join Transit Vista. I didn't let them know any of this, but that's what I was gonna do. So I drove down there just on a whim. I was like, hey, you guys doing anything today? No, you wanna jam? Yeah, let's jam. So we started jamming just on a Saturday afternoon there, and I stayed till Sunday night, just jamming originals, jamming RX Bandits covers, just learning how to play together, Wes, Daniel, and I. And then I drove back home to Greenville thinking, yeah, this is great, we're gonna start a band, I'm gonna move down to Charleston. Get a call about 3 weeks later, a month later, Daniel says, hey man, what's up? I wanna jam. I'm like, cool, I live in Greenville now. What? Daniel invited this guy named Rob Wild to play bass with us. He was working at the Duck Wash with him. I mean, Daniel had all these songs, Josh would write lyrics on top of them. It was just a working machine. We were a power rhythm section. We both liked reggae, but he wanted to do a Snoop Dogg song, so it's like we already had a rap influence from the very beginning. Like, cut this 3-song demo. As soon as it was mixed, I was like, there's an open mic night. Let's play this open mic night at the G-Spot. For that little bit, Rob's sister, Deb, was there. So we had a great crowd. We made it back to my house, and then I was unloading the gear. Rob's like, I'm gonna text you when I get home. He just never texted me after that. So it wasn't even a question. It was just like, I didn't have to ask if we were gonna continue. It was just like, we are going to continue. And even when we met Rob and his parents, they were like, they just encouraged us, and they still encourage us. They're like, we can't let this stop you. From the very beginning, and we only played 2 shows, an open mic. So they just supported us from the whole time. Rob's dad got a tattoo, Lions of Zion, after that. And they just supported us and kept supporting us after that. And just the first person that came up that could possibly jam with us was Hootie, just because we had a mutual friend. And he said he would fill in for this one gig we already had again. I already had booked at Java Jolt. Filled in. And then he just kept filling in after that. He was always there. And we didn't want anybody else. He kept on kind of encouraging us to y'all gotta find somebody. I'm just trying to have fun. Fast forward, to Warped Tour. Warped Tour was super cool. We got to play, as kids we always went to Warped Tour, so there's a bunch of bands we looked up to, like Coheed and Cambria, that had played the tour and done it. Like, you played a small stage and then that next year you're really doing it. So Warped Tour was an amazing experience. It was a dream come true. So then how I started playing with John was the kind of the transformation of Lions of Zion to LOZ was, I wanted to do a tribute show to Prince. I wanted to do the Purple Rain album all the way through. And I did not have a band at all. This is when Wes was committed for me and Josh would do whatever I asked him to do. And but that wasn't a full band. It's not enough to do Prince. John saw that we were doing it, asked if he could be a part of it. I said, yeah, man, we could use some keys. The day of rehearsal, nobody's learned their parts. Flip the script. I know the album inside out. Wes is playing bass. John, will you play guitar? The whole Purple Rain album on the spot, and I'll play the drums, and we'll get our buddy to sing it. So without even rehearsing the album all the way through, we performed it. And then within that transformation of playing, I found out that he wrote, that he produced, that he could play any instrument. And I was like, dude, you gotta produce LOZ's next album. He was not in the band at this point, but I was like, I want you to just produce it. Play Lions Needs Keys. Why don't you just play Hey Look Music Festival with us? It'll be epic, you play with us. He played Hey Look, he plays Spatuno. Sometimes we need extra guitar, he would play an extra guitar. So like with Audrey kind of came in with John, and then the Local Green thing was Christmas with Sam. He just kept on coming back to ask Sam. And so I asked Sam, and then it kind of stuck since then. That's how the LOZ started, from a Christmas jam for charity and for a Bob Marley tribute show. So it's just all good vibes is the basis. Take a seat. It means something different to each member of the band. Like John really likes Legends of Zelda, so you can ask him what it means. But he is our link. He's the missing link that helps bridge all the pieces in. And now we got all the pieces together, and now we can make music. And this album is not a concept album, but the undertone is hope. And the atmosphere of recording this record is we can do whatever we want. And it's amazing, and I love it. So yeah, straight to Zion. It's gonna be amazing. It is amazing.